So you can see here it's almost 8 minutes long. I've got a nice quiet section at the end. Just get it to fit nicely on the screen. So I have a nice quiet section at the beginning. I've got all of my audio, and I've got a nice quiet section at the end as well. I can guarantee that my final file, my final video won't be 8 minutes long. But I did make quite a mess of some parts of it. So the other thing that's worth looking at here is we can use the zoom in and zoom out, and that will allow us to, if I zoom out, okay, we can now see the whole thing. Or I can zoom back in, and we can extend this as well so we can see things a bit better. So I'm going to take my noise profile from here. Actually, before we do that, one important tip. Once I've saved it, and I've marked it as RAW, so the file name is voiceover-raw. In fact, it's YCLPO, so you can learn piano online, voiceover raw. What you should do is do a save as and get rid of the raw. I tend to call it sweetened because I'm going through a process, what's called audio sweetening. So now, if I mess things up, I can still go back to my raw file. So, noise removal, get noise profile, select the whole thing, effect, noise removal, OK. Takes a little bit longer now, it's processing the whole 8 minutes. And there we go. Now what you'll notice is you can probably just about see it. Just in there, there is a little glitch. Probably I clicked a mouse or moved my hand or something. There's one there as well. We don't want those. In fact, I don't want any noise before it starts. So I'm going to select all of that. And if we go to Edit, we've got silent audio. If I click that, there is no sound there now. I actually happen to know that Control L is a shortcut for that. So I tend to use Control L as a keyboard shortcut as I'm going through and editing my file. So I would start at the beginning, and you can either simply put your cursor where you want it and click play, or if you click up here,
picture yourself 12 months from now, entertain.
See that? I click in the timeline, starts playing.
Picture yourself 12 months from now, entertaining a group of your friends around the piano that you're playing.
Okay, did you hear that? Remember I was talking about the intakes of breath? Listen what's there. You can hear me opening my mouth and breathing in at the same time. Maybe it doesn't come across very well over the microphone right now, but trust me, when you have a look at this file yourself, you'll see that that little form there is me taking a breath. So what do? I do Control L. Yeah? It's the same as doing Edit Silence Audio. Now the intake of breath is gone. So let's listen to it again.
Picture yourself 12 months from now, entertaining a group of your friends around the piano that you're playing like a maestro. Whether you've never played...
Okay. Another keyboard shortcut that's worth learning is the space bar. Space starts and stops. So if we're here and I hit space,
picture yourself 12 months from now.
Hit space again, it stops. It's also great if you select something. So I select this because from the previous pattern, this looks like it's probably going to be a bit weird. So select it and press space. I get the same thing. I get the like that. Opening my mouth, breathing in. So I can see that. I hit Control L, get rid of it. Okay.
Like a maestro. Whether you've never played a piano in your life and want to learn, or whether you've had...
Same again here. That's just an intake of breath. We'll get rid of that. If we're not sure whether we've done it right, Let's zoom in a bit more. We can see actually here that I should be selecting from there to there. So you can see everything that's going up and down from the line is part of the sound. It's now gone. Okay? So I would go through and I would do this whole thing. And I would encourage you to go through and, even if you don't go through and edit my whole file, play with it. See what's in there. So we got something here, for example. I can see there's quite a big gap. See here, there's a much bigger gap than anywhere else. I'm silent for over 2 seconds. So let's have a listen why.
Discover a new way of learning that's currently turning the teaching industry on its head. I learned piano as a child.
Okay, in that instance, yeah, it was probably right. But I would go through and I would listen to it right from the beginning, and I'd be following along with the script and find out if there's any problems. So let me go through, see if there's anything else. Let's try here.
Over again until I got them right. I remember.
Did you hear that? I stumbled over the words.
Over again until I got them right. I remember one day.
Okay, so I made a mistake. This bit here is just wrong. I remember, and then I come back in here.
I remember one day.
So this is just wrong. We just don't need it. So first of all, I'll get rid of that bit. Make that quiet. So this is where it needs to start in terms of timing. Just there. But this is where it actually starts.
I remember one day.
Okay.
I remember.
So what I'll do is drag all of that down like that. See, just before that, just before this block to just before that block. From the edit menu, I can do delete. Now again, I know that this is Control K, so I learn these shortcuts. There's the three that I know: Control K, Control L, and the spacebar. They're the only ones I ever need. If I do that, you notice it gets rid of it and it squishes it all up, so that now it all flows nicely.
Over again until I got them right. I remember one day when I was quite young, I got so frustrated.
It's fine. And I would keep working my way through. Like I say, I'm not going to go through the whole thing now. There's 8 minutes of it, and you'll get bored listening to me do the whole thing.
Teacher, if I could learn them. I never did. I was too focused on all.
Okay. Remember, I'm still going through. I'm still finding all of these. And you will get really good at spotting them, believe me. I can pretty much pick them out these days. And we'll find mistakes. See if there's any jump out at me right now. Believe me, there are quite a few in there. This looks a little bit suspicious. Let's listen to this.
How to form a rhythm around them. I had no idea how to fill in between the chords. I was out of my depth and lost. Then it happened.
Okay, so that's fine. That's how it should be. This looks suspicious. What's this?
I was oblivious to the rest of the page. No, that wasn't good.
I don't know whether you heard that on the microphone, but it says I was oblivious to what the rest of the page. No, that wasn't good.
No, that wasn't good.
So that was quite polite. No, that wasn't good. But it's just a little indicator to me. If I'm listening to it and I miss it, I'll know very clearly that I've made a mistake. If I'm doing a really long recording, what I might do is click my fingers. And if you click your fingers, if I just show you, I'll mute this and I'll just do a brand new recording from the beginning. And this will create me a new track. So if I click my fingers, can you see here, we get a very distinct line that goes right the way to the top. And I just literally click my fingers right in front of the mic. Alternatively, I could clap my hands, so let's try that. Oh, preferably not there. We'll do it from the beginning. We'll get rid of that one, and let's record a hand clap. Okay, it's a very distinct pattern. It's very abrupt on the left-hand side, whereas if I'm recording voice, you see when I speak, it tends to be a much more natural pattern that you see there, but a clap is very distinct. as is a finger click. Yeah, so we can see all of these, and they're very good visual indicators when you're going through and you're editing your script. I didn't use them in this because this was a shorter script, but let's have a look what else we've got in here. I know towards the end I got worse. What's this here? That was me tutting at myself, okay. So here, this doesn't look great. What have we got?
I recently discovered.
I want to hear what I did there. I ended up laughing at myself. That's usually a good sign. I think the more of us can laugh at ourselves, the better.
This like myself, through to highly competent musicians, through the use of leading-edge teaching methods.
Okay. So you see, I spotted that. That was clear to me. I'd put a clap in there. Forgotten I'd even done it. But it marked out to me that there was a problem and I needed to go and listen to it. So what I would do here, I would look at where I start again. So we've got the clap. So we'll look where we start again. What does it say?
I recently discovered Rocket Piano.
I recently discovered Rocket Piano. Okay, go back before the clap and we try and find the same thing. Here maybe?
It's designed to take everyone from complete beginning.
A bit further. How about here?
I recently discovered Rocket Piano.
Okay, so there, I recently discovered Rocket Piano. Bring that all the way beyond the clap. So again, really great to have that visual indicator just there. Bring it beyond the clap. Remember, you can do delete from the menu or Control K on the keyboard. And now if I play it.
I recently discovered Rocket Piano, which is a revolutionary new online piano teaching course.
Okay, so that's what we're doing all the way through. The other thing that we might look at is something like this here, where I'm taking quite a deep breath there, and we're looking at nearly 2 seconds gap. So let's listen to it.
Competent musicians, through the use of... Oh, come on, John.
Okay, so that was a mistake. Where I'm reprimanding myself. If I go back to the beginning, if you remember, we found a longer gap here. So let's listen to this again.
Currently turning the teaching industry on its head. I learned piano as a child.
So that's quite a long pause there. I might decide that I want a shorter pause. So I might want to say, let's listen to it again.
Currently turning the teaching industry on its head. I learned.
So I want to be coming in here. I don't want that extra gap there. So I want to be saying, turning the teaching industry on its head. I learned piano as a child. So listen again.
Currently turning the teaching industry on its head. I learned piano.
Yeah, too much of a gap, definitely. So what I'll do is I'll go from there, bring that forward, Control K to edit it out, and there we go.
It's currently turning the teaching industry on its head. I learned piano as a child.
That sounded pretty good. But what if I overdo it? What if I do this?
Teaching industry on its head. I learned piano as a child.
Okay, that's clearly too much. So what I want to do is I need to pad that out a little bit. I need about another, let's say another second in there. So what I can do is select somewhere in there with my cursor and go to Generate Silence. And how much do I want? I want to do it in seconds. And I could do it in hours, minutes, seconds if I want to. But I don't. I just want seconds. I don't want 30 seconds in there. I want 1 second. Okay? So you can see that's added in an extra second of silence. So that's how we can move things around.
Teaching industry on its head. I learned piano as a child.
And we can fine-tune that. We can tweak it. We don't have to keep undoing and going back. So I could take it out completely and then insert pure silence in there. I could maybe have put that in and say, well, actually, it's still a bit too long. So let's just take that a little bit out there. And we're tweaking it, we're moving it around, and we eventually get to the point that we're happy with it. So we're going to do that over the whole of the audio. Like I say, I won't do that now, but I will do that and put up my finished version of it for you to have a look at. If I just zoom it out for now, so we can see the whole thing, we can see that there are peaks and there are troughs. And we can also see that some of it's going above the line, some of it's going below the line. What we want to do is we want to get it what we call normalized. And again, it's really easy. Select it all, Effect, Normalize, and we want to normalize the maximum amplitude. It normally says to 0 dB. I actually like to say 0.5. So it's actually minus 0.5, and it brings it just under that 0. Okay, see, it's just squeezed it in very, very slightly, and that gives us a little bit of space to work with when we pull it into our video editor. But it also nicely balances. It's very difficult to see. Trust me, it is a step that's worth doing. So we've done all of that now. We've normalized it. We've edited it. Now what I wanted to show you was speeding it up. So we can see at the moment it's 7 minutes and 30. And if we just play it from the beginning.
Picture yourself 12 months from now entertaining a group of your friends around the piano that you're playing like a maestro.
Okay, zoom in on that.
Picture yourself 12 months from now entertaining a group of your friends around the piano that you're playing like a maestro.
Okay, zoom in a little bit further on this section. Okay, we can see it's going from starting at about 9.5 and going to 16. So we're looking at about 6.5 seconds for that. I'm going to highlight the whole thing. I'm going to go to Effect, and we're going to change the tempo. Be careful, there's change pitch, change speed, and change tempo. If you change speed, you will get the chipmunk, and we don't want chipmunks. We want to change the tempo. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it by about 5%. So you can see the length in seconds has gone from 444 to 423. And it's not huge. First of all, notice we're starting half a second sooner. And now we're going for just about 6 seconds. So if you listen to this.
Picture yourself 12 months from now entertaining a group of your friends around the piano that you're playing like a maestro.
So it isn't noticeable. It isn't that there's an obvious speed up of the voice. It's very, very subtle, but it's just enough to inject a little bit of energy in there. Like I say, you've got to be really careful because you can go overboard with this. If I do it just on this small section. Just listen to that.
Picture yourself 12 months from now entertaining a group of your friends around the piano that you're playing like a maestro.
No one's going to buy that. Like I say, you also need to be careful not to do change speed. Oops.
Picture yourself 12 months from now entertaining a group of your friends around the piano that you're playing like a maestro.
Because we really don't want to be a chipmunk. So be very careful with it. 5% seems to work very well for every voice that I've worked with so far. You might find that some of them, it doesn't like it. Some of them, if you try and push it too far, it will start to break up and it will sound a little bit artificial. But if you play around somewhere between 3 and 5 seconds, you'll usually find a setting that works really well. If you find that there's a section where you are actually speaking it a bit too quickly, when you've done all of this, you can highlight that section and just slow it down a bit. Again, don't slow it down too much. It's really obvious.
Picture yourself 12 months from now entertaining.
See how artificial that sounded? So be very gentle with this. No more than plus or minus 5% as a rule. And sometimes you have to stay a little bit inside that to make it sound natural. That's the last thing that you do. Once you've done that, you would save the project. Then you're going to want to save it, to export it, and let me just go back there. Make sure you click export and not export selection. I did that by accident once, and I'd highlighted about a 2-second piece of my audio, and I couldn't understand why only 2 seconds of it was playing when I went to edit the video. So click on export, and you can now select, you actually want this WAV. Okay, WAV Microsoft signed 16-bit PCM, and if you save that, you'll then be able to use that in your video later on. Okay, don't use any other format other than WAV unless you're on a Mac. If you're doing this on a Mac, one of the options will be Apple Lossless, and that's the one to go for on a Mac.